I'm Helen.
And I'm Allan.
We're co-founder of Emotional Detox.
And we want to start off with asking you a quick question for today, which is,
Why do some memories still hurt even years later?
the reason why we asked that question was because rolling back 20 plus years ago, I was a student of this work that started off my life falling apart. To make a long story short, by the time I was in my mid-20s, I tried to commit suicide. And it was really hard for me to share that story for so long until I got out of it and realized what was going on with me. What was going on with my brain? Why was I allowing my life to go down such a negative downfall? And the challenge that I really found was that I had repeated thoughts and memories that dated from the time I was in my 20s all the way back to my childhood. And some of those memories were great, but a lot of them tore me apart. Without a show of hands, of course, how many of us here have thoughts or memories from our past where when we think about certain events, it still holds a negative charge inside of us? Stuff that we don't want to think about. But when we do, it's still there. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I didn't have to stay stuck with this. But I also knew that it was happening because I didn't know how to get rid of it. I didn't know how to change it. But I also found examples of people that could. And it was really extraordinary because I got lucky in the sense that I did a very poor job of ending my life. Obviously, I'm still here, right? But I did that with the awareness of knowing, hey, wait a minute. I'm thinking down this path, yet there's other people, other examples of individuals that were in my life who had gone through worse than me, had gone through struggles that I can't even say, couldn't even imagine going through. Yet they didn't take that path. They didn't go down that road. And many of them actually moved on to build successful lives, families, careers. They did more with themselves than what anybody else would have thought that they could do at such a young age. Now, before learning this work, I thought to myself, hey, you know what? Maybe time will just let it all go. How many have heard that? Time heals everything. Some have, right? And for some things, that's true. But what I found for myself is that there's certain events that happened to me that molded me, that shaped my life, the way that I believed who I was and what I was capable or not capable of doing. And those things couldn't shift, which is what led me to find this kind of work that we're about to present to you. I even tried talking to my friends, talking to other people. How many people have tried talking to someone about their problems or challenges? And sometimes it's worked, but sometimes all I did is I just kind of vomited on my friends and other people, and they just didn't want to talk to me anymore because they're like, it's Allan, here it comes again. I didn't want to be that guy. So what I did is I found out, aside from the fact that there's a hidden pain that I just discussed with you, I found out that there's a group of individuals that learned a system. It's a communication tool that allows us to go into the deeper part of our mind. When I say deeper, there's two main functions. Like, there's a whole lot of functions to our brain, of course. But when it comes to feelings, when it comes to memories, there's two major components to our brain. We have the conscious part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, the front of our brain. That's the part of your brain you're using right now. It's the part of you that's saying, is this worth it? Is this interesting? Is it not? Do I like this place? Do I don't? It's very cognitive. But all of those parts in our body, in our mind, where we can't shake things off, it doesn't sit here. It's here in the back of the brain called the subconscious mind. And just to give you an idea, metaphorically speaking, if the conscious brain is like the size of this podium in terms of functionality, the size of the subconscious for all of us, it's literally like the size of all of Vancouver Convention Center. It is huge. Without getting into too much detail, the processing speed for our conscious brain is 128 bits per second. It's like a computer. But when you learn to operate from the subconscious, it operates at an average of 2 million 2 million bits of information per second. It's like having a chat GPT stuck inside of our head. And we all have it. We all have it. But the question is, why didn't anybody teach us this? Like, maybe some of you guys figured that out, maybe. I never figured that out until after I tried to end my life at 25. So this is the foundation of what I'm referring to. How many of you guys have heard of NLP or neuro-linguistic programming? A few of you. That's right. So for those of you that have not heard of it, it's just a fancy way of saying it's a master level skill of communicating with your own mind. And I say master level because the people that have learned how to utilize this technology are the people that have what we call life breakthroughs. Life breakthroughs. They're the people that start off in life, maybe they didn't have a great upbringing. Maybe they didn't have a great childhood. Maybe they're missing their mom, their dad, maybe both. Maybe everybody looked around them and said, you know what? Maybe this kid's not going to amount to very much. But by some way, somehow, they learned to take every single pain, disaster, discomfort, and they transform that into a power, into an energy, into something that makes them say, look, there's more to me than this. This can't be it for me. And they take every excuse and they turn that into a drive. I used to think that this is just like, okay, these guys are just superhuman. They're like, how is this even possible? When I got into this work and Helen got into this work with me, what we discovered is that this creation of NLP was designed by dozens and dozens and dozens of highly intelligent people that focused on human development, human behavior, and accelerated performance. You know what's crazy? This has been around since the 1970s, and it's been growing ever since. We've always been wondering, like, how come people haven't heard about this sooner? I don't know. But you know what? We want to be one of the first to bring it here with you today. And again, this is just a short list of people that have contributed to the creation of NLP. Now, why am I talking about NLP? Because our foundation, as mentioned, is that structure, it's that system. But we've also learned to blend neuro-linguistic programming with hypnotherapy and timeline reframing techniques. All that is just a fancy way of saying that there's different angles at which you can take your mind and you can transform any painful situation into something that's confident, something that used to scare you, and now you become bolder because of it. Something that used to be so hurtful and painful, but then you start learning to create a sense of well-being or even love or compassion from things that used to horrify you. Now, I know that's more easily said than done. I get that. But it's important to understand at least the basis of this. And folks, real quick, we're only here for 20 minutes. Our original plan was to take someone here in the audience and actually do a live demonstration here. But because we only got 20 minutes, we're going to give you the foundation now, and then we're going to show a demonstration at our booth, just at the end of the wall over here, okay? One of the things I want you guys to know that I didn't know until I started getting involved was that part of the transformation process does not require you to share your personal information. Example, what are we more used to? We're more used to going to a place where if we have an issue, we got a problem, we got a challenge, we sit down, we sit at this chair, and somebody's here, someone's there, and then we have to divulge all of our information to that person, our life story, right? What if you could get the benefit of change without telling the person anything about what you went through? What if you could get that shift, that transformation? What if you could get that feeling that's stuck in you? For most people, with the clients that we work with, when they get feelings of fear or anger or hurt, oftentimes they feel it in their chest, in their throat, sometimes in their stomach, and that memory is just like sitting right in their face. What if you could erase all of that, still have the memory, but no feelings attached, at least not the painful ones? and not even have to tell the person what you went through. If you could have that experience, do you think that would be more helpful for making your shift? Do you think it might be more comfortable because you don't have to tell them what you went through? Part of what we've learned to do is help create that safe space for people who want to make that transformation without telling us their story. So what we have is literally years and hundreds of people that have sat with us, asked us for our help, made the shift, yet we don't even know what the heck they went through. And that's exciting for us because we don't have to go home and cry and be like, hey, Helen, can you work on me? That was rough, and just zap me, do the thing.
That's exactly.
That's how we started. There's none of that anymore. Because when we walk away from the client, they walk away happy because they're safe. And that's huge because I don't know if Vancouver in general has that kind of technology here. I don't even know if most people know it exists. I didn't until 20 years ago. And so for today, obviously, we're short on time. I can't show you here, but I want you to know that that type of help, transformation, training, education, it's here. It's possible. It's what we live with every single day. And I get excited about it because this form of transformation changed me. It remolded me. And it remolded so many other people that we've helped.
Yes, especially for men.
Guys, how many of us? Look, my dad was ex-military. His whole model of crying is, boy, you cry, you go to the shower. If you cry in the shower, nobody can tell you're crying. I saw my father, God rest his soul, I love the man. He passed away a couple of years ago. But I had to watch my father grow up, grow old, and hold everything in. I saw the regret. I saw the level of pain. I saw how much it demoralized him as a man. And I love that man. But I knew that I couldn't help him because I didn't have any of this. Had I had this 20 years ago when he was around, if I'd mastered it, it'd be a very different story for my father. My dad was an example for me to realize this is how I don't want to live. And my dad meant well, but he had his demons. I don't think we have to live with those demons anymore because now we found a way out. And of course, we're talking about this. I want to give you some examples here real quick. 2023, we meet a woman in Germany. Most of our clients are around the globe. Marian allowed us to share this story as well. That's why we're sharing it. She started off as a school teacher. I'll show you a photo of her in a second. And her biggest dream was, I want to be a performer, Allan. Helen, how do I do this? I'm a teacher and I'm a part-time clown at the hospitals for the kids that are sick. But I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go for my dream. I'm in my 50s, Allan. How the heck do I start it now? I'm in my 50s. Well, guess what? We found out that she was highly skilled. She had the ability. But her biggest fear is that she thought she couldn't do it. And when we unwound, when we peeled the onion back, you know what we found out? The voice of her mother telling her, you're not good enough. Who the heck do you think you are? Go get a job. Stick to it. Nothing wrong with jobs. Just for her example, okay? She had that ringing in her head and she was 50. Now, I'm not pointing fingers. We all have something like that, some memory of that. And she didn't even know that existed until we peeled it back. Well, it took us 3 years. 3 years? About 2.5, 3 years. I'm sorry that it's a little bit grainy because I had to take it from the videos. These are screenshots. On the left, this is how we met her. She's in spandex, lying on something like a skateboard. That's a kitchen. That's her kitchen. And she's trying to make us laugh by pretending to swim in her kitchen. That's how she started. 3 years of work over Zoom, finding out what are all of your limiting beliefs. Remove the limiting beliefs. This is the end result. 2025, she's on stage, multiple stages. She's the opening act for the equivalence of a Circus Olay here in Vancouver. She's not only living her dream now, but she's become so good at this that her 15-year-old daughter looks at her and says, Mom, I want to do what you're doing. because she saw mom before when mom was still respectable, still working hard, but she knew that there was a fear inside of her. There was something in her that said, Mom, like, why aren't you going for more, Mom? And to see her break through not only created that bond between her and her mother to be deeper, but it inspired her to try and do something more. For those of us that have kids, if we saw our kids have their own breakthroughs of some type, how inspiring would that be for us? Especially to know that a part of that inspiration came from something that we did. On the flip side, how many of you guys remember the Lapu-Lapu tragedy that happened last April? Right? Sad time. That time, there were so many people that lost their lives. They lost their families. One of those people that we got introduced to was Alejandro. Alejandro gave us permission to share his story. So it's just an example, because I want you to see the transformation power. And of course, it's a photo, but it gives you an idea of how quick and effective this method actually is. On the left-hand side is Alejandro recalling the memory of losing not just his mom, not just his dad, but his sister. On one Sunday, his entire family wiped out. He wakes up one morning and he's completely alone. Within 2.5 hours, I figured out what is his syntax. His syntax is just a fancy way of saying, what's the code in your brain that creates massive amount of pain? I found out what that code was, and I helped him scramble it. At the end, this is him now, where he's not excited, he's not happy, but he's in a place where he has more peace in his life, knowing that mom and dad and his sister are gone. But a part of his brain is saying, this is my new chapter. This is what happened. And because I can't change it, I have to find a way to be okay with it. And it's not just mental, like, oh yeah, just happy thoughts. I mean, this is what comes out of him without him even trying it. But think about that. Think about anything you've ever gone through, folks, where you thought, man, because this happened, this is who I am. What if you had the ability to shift that in one session, in one day? I used to think that that was a hoax, but after living through it for 20 years, we now realize that's more than possible. We just need a chance to know how. 1 minute. In closing, what we're going to do, if you want to take a screenshot of this, this is our website. The website gives you a little more information about neuro-linguistic programming, how we help people, and how you can use this technology for yourself. In about 10 minutes, we're going to do a live demonstration over at booth 115, just down at the end over here. If you want to see this happen in real time, just come visit us in about 10 minutes. I'll pick somebody that wants to get a chance to taste the transformation for themselves. But again, without telling me your story. I don't need to know anything about what you went through. I just need to know how it shows up.
Awesome. See you all in booth 115. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.